Greetings, Sean here, mostly metal. We are going to talk about a few Blu-rays today. I thought I had more in my collection. They might be downstairs that I haven't watched yet, but we'll get to that another day. First up, a DVD I forgot to talk about that I had in the bottom of a pile. Face to Face, the first 7 years. Face to Face are a great California punk rock band. One of those bands that probably should have gotten a lot bigger. I seem to say that a lot, but it's true for a lot of music that you think's really great. This is like a documentary behind the scenes showing the rise of the band from their humble beginnings to what they became and eventually disbanded. Unfortunately, it has a few videos on here too. I first discovered these guys in the 90s. I think it was on MTV where I saw the video for Disconnected. I think Headbangers Ball may have actually played it, which was kind of weird because Face to Face are not really a metal band, but metal, punk, hardcore all seem to blur the lines there. So I was an instant fan of Disconnected, and I went and bought Don't Turn Away right after that. I've amazingly found it in my local record store in the middle of nowhere, Illinois, and became an instant fan. But this came out in 99. They went on to release a few albums after this. I think they're still playing shows every once in a while. Not really sure, but their early years, the first, I want to say, 4 albums are super, super fantastic. So check out Face to Face if you haven't yet. This first Blu-ray, I already talked about it because I thought it was a DVD, but I'll show it again. Avett Brothers, May It Last. Judd Apatow, great documentary of the band working with, Numbnuts. What's his name? Rick Rubin. Jeez. Sorry, I'm dragging a little bit today. Working with him on their album True Sadness, talking about, songs about divorce and marriage and life struggles and whatnot all came together in a perfect storm to make True Sadness. Probably their last great album, I think. After this, they kind of petered out. Great folk country-ish band from North Carolina. So if you're not familiar, check out Avett Brothers. Next up this is kind of a weird one. This is 20,000 Days on Earth by Nick Cave. This is kind of if you're not a Nick Cave fan, you're not going to like this, I don't think. It's kind of an artsy-fartsy, kind of a 24 hours with Nick Cave before he goes in to film an album. If you don't know Nick Cave, he's kind of a very eclectic, artistic guy, but great songwriter. I'm a huge Nick Cave fan. Very, I hate to say gothic, just very different from album to album. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, you've probably heard of. This is just Nick Cave, I believe. But it's one of those kind of artistic pieces that, again, if you're not a fan of Nick Cave and you watch this, you're going to think he's a nut job and this is terrible and why do people like Nick Cave? So I don't recommend this for anyone that's not a hardcore fan of Nick. It's good. Very, like I said, very, you have to be in the mood for it. I guess I'll put it that way. Nick Cave fan, check it out. This Blu-rays, it's been out for a while, but it just didn't get the fanfare that a lot of his other stuff did. So if you're a Nick Cave fan, you might want to pick up 20,000 Days on Earth. Next Blu-ray is called Salad Days. This is a decade of punk from like the Washington, D.C. era from the 80s to the 90s. Not much to show on the inside. There's a lot of bands in here. Minor Threat, Fugazi, of course. Government Issue, 7 Seconds. That whole era of punk rock is represented here. And it's a good... it's kind of a good documentary. It just talks about the different bands, Bad Brains, Marginal Man, Fugazi, blah, 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 how they all booked shows together and played shows together and what starting that scene was like or how it became a huge scene. and helped shape punk rock even today. It's a great documentary, a couple hours long, I think, but well worth your time and money to check out. Salad Days. The final package here of Blu-rays. It's actually three Blu-rays in one package, but this is the Decline of Western Civilization collection. This came out as a package. I want to say it was on Record Store Day, but I could be wrong on that. If you don't know, I found out about this, of course, like many of you did back. When did this come out? In the 90s, I think, when Part 2 came out. Dave Mustaine on the cover talking about metal. It was the first time I ever heard of Wasp, the infamous scene where he's drunk in the pool and Lita Ford and his mom are looking at him like, Jesus, dude, you need to get your life together. Not much to show on the insides of these, but Part 2 was the metal. You've got, Megadeth. There was kind of the, Poison, Motorhead, Faster Pussycat. It kind of explored a lot of different types of metal, at least it was popular at the time. How they chase girls, the lifestyle of metal as it was known back then. It's kind of still part of the lifestyle, I think, for some, but certainly not as prevalent now in this day and age. Part 1 actually came out before it. This was more of a punk rock slash alternative-ish version. This had bands on it like X, Black Flag, Circle Jerks, The Germs, stuff like that. So that's Part 1. And then Part 3 was also a punk rockish one. More of like the gutter punk type scene. Had Final Conflict, Naked Aggression, The Resistance, bands like that. I like both of these. I like watching Part 1 and Part 3 back to back, and then 2 kind of stands on its own, in my opinion. And the cool thing about this one is it came with a bonus Blu-ray. I don't think there's anything to show on the inside, but it's the Decline Collection, kind of a bonus disc. It's got extended interviews from Part 2 with London, Megadeth, Odin, Poison, Bill Gazzari, and Mega Crowd 87. From Part 1, it's got a news report. Part 2, it's got Cruising the Sunset Strip. Part 3, it kind of has a panel. Then there's just various interviews with Penelope Spheeris and who's the director of all this. So if you can find this anywhere, and again, I think it's good for seasoned metalheads and punk rockers to kind of dive in and see the history of where a lot of their music came from. According to this package, it looks like Part 1 came out in 81, and then 2 and 3 came out in 88. Or no, 2 came out in 88, 3 came out in 98. So it's kind of a nice chunked out history of punk and metal, I would say, and the different parts of each scene. I mean, it's not as comprehensive as metal, the metal years, but I think if you took that and combined it with this, and if you were new to metal and punk, you would get a great starting point, a good history lesson, if you will, and an entertaining history lesson as well, to kind of see how all this music got started. I think a lot of that's lost these days. A lot of people just hear about a band. Maybe I'll talk about Bad Brains, since the kid will just go to Spotify and look at Bad Brains and listen to the music and think, it's good to get a kind of a history on the band and where they came from, etc. It also comes with a nice thick booklet, which has a lot of pictures in it. It's got some, I think there were some interviews in here. I remember this kid from Whatum. He was kind of a snotty punk. There's, Bret Michaels, for all you ladies out there that like Bret Michaels, and probably some dudes too. I don't even know what band this is. Is this? Yeah, that's her with some cock rock band. I can't remember which band that is. But it's just got some nice pictures. It's got some punk rockers. Penelope did a great job with these documentaries. It's very thorough. You can learn a lot just by reading this inner booklet. And there's the back there. So if you're a music fan, and like I said, if you like documentaries, highly recommend checking this out. One of my favorite music documentaries of all time. Really, all three of these are. So if you got a little spare change, check it out. So that's it for my Blu-rays. Hope y'all are having a good one. Still having a good one out there, and I will catch y'all very soon. Later.